6 o'clock news starts right now.
Well, the polls are going to close in about an hour, but our election coverage is just getting started. We're going to take a look at the ballot items and bring you the results as they come in.
A place where kids and adults go for mental health help is once again in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Katrina Weber explains why.
And it's the place where guns, bullets, and other weapons are analyzed after a crime, but there is a rising backlog in cases. Our Courtney Friedman will look into the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Lab, getting answers straight from its director about what is causing that backlog.
We have fog to talk about, temperature swings, and our next cold front, when that arrives and what it means for temperatures in just a bit.
But we begin with some late-breaking news that we are keeping an eye on. TxDOT is reporting a major car accident on the northeast side of town.
So this is happening along I-35 southbound, just past the Topperwine Road exit. We know this is an area with a lot of construction, but we are not sure right now if that played a role.
And we also don't know yet if there are any serious injuries, but we'll be sure to update you throughout the evening as we find out more.
Also happening right now, a plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. Take a look at this video just coming into our newsroom here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, pretty dramatic there. Early reports say that this was a UPS airplane, and you see all of that black smoke and the flames from the crash site that spreads quite a distance. Now, this is a fluid situation, and details are still coming in, including whether there were any injuries or fatalities and the full extent of that damage. We,
of course, will bring you those updates as we learn more information as it comes into our newsroom. Now to election night in Bexar County, and we have crews on the ground covering all the big ballot items.
KSAT, of course, is your election home once again, and we're going to bring you the results in real time throughout the evening as they come in.
1 hour left until polls close in Bexar County, so 1 hour left for voters to weigh in on the biggest local items on the ballot. That, of course, Propositions A and B.
And tonight we will have team coverage of those results from our Garrett Berger, as you just saw in Avery Everett. So, Garrett, we're going to start with you. He's not far from us at River North Ice House in the downtown area, where the Spurs are hoping for a different kind of victory tonight. Garrett.
Absolutely, Ernie, and we're getting some pre-game vibes here at River North Ice House. That's where the Spurs and the Win Together campaign, the PAC that the team put together to support Propositions A and B, are holding a watch party out here. You can see a lot of Spurs gear, Spurs colors, a lot of loud music. People hoping to see the scoreboard, so to speak, light up when the election results start coming in at 7, at least with the early voting. Now, Proposition B would help fund a new Spurs arena at the old Institute of Texan Culture site over at Hemisphere, part of the city's wider plans for a downtown sports and entertainment district. While Proposition A would pay to make over county-owned facilities around the team's current home, the Frost Bank Center on the east side, paving way for year-round rodeo-style events when the Spurs leave that area. Now, both votes are about using a county venue tax on hotel stays and car rentals to help fund the projects. Both would raise the hotel portion of that tax. Now, technically, Prop B is only a vote on the county's $311 million share of the arena's construction. But the larger $1.3 billion funding deal, which also includes money from the Spurs and the city, relies on Prop B passing, so it does have wider implications. Now, the Spurs have a lease on the Frost Bank Center until 2032. They've avoided answering questions about what happens if Prop B does not pass, saying they're focused on the success of it today. Meanwhile, the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo has indicated they plan to move ahead with year-round rodeo-style programming, no matter what happens with either proposition, just be in fancier facilities or not. Now, the head of the rodeo telling KSAT they do not expect the Spurs to stay on that side of town. But both groups have been pushing hard for both props. The Spurs especially have largely bankrolled a more than $7 million campaign that has included everything from seemingly endless political mailers, TV ads, a music video, and even video appeals by Eva Longoria. A lot of the pro-campaign messaging has been about how funding will largely fall on the shoulders of visitors or focusing on the Spurs' contribution. Now, earlier this afternoon, I spoke with a political consultant who's been working with the Win Together campaign. He had said that the spending advantage means the campaign has really been able to get its messaging out there. And some of those groups that they were targeting, women, Latinos, and independents, started to come out in the last week of early voting. Now, we won't know whether or not they bought into that messaging until 7 o'clock when we see those results. Live downtown, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Garrett, thank you. So those opposed to the propositions are also having watch parties tonight. Now, Avery Everett is joining us now live at the Friendly Spot in Southtown, where the community there, their organizing group Cops Metro will soon take over.
Yeah, so Avery, Cops Metro has taken a neutral stance on Prop A. That's the one that would create a year-round rodeo. But we know that they are adamantly against Proposition B.
Yeah, Myra, Ernie, they are. And that's part of the reason why this section here at the Friendly Spot dedicated to that watch party for Cops Metro is so empty right now, just after 6 p.m. And that's because they say that they're working this final hour at the polls. They want to be close to where people are voting, and they want to have that final push to tell people to vote against Proposition B. So if you don't already know who Cops Metro are, they're really an advocacy coalition made up of community members. Now, we're told this group is nonpartisan, and that's part of the reason why they have taken a neutral stance on Proposition A, but they are so adamant against Proposition B. Now, we're also told that there's another group that's been one of the loudest opponents of Proposition A and B. Now, that is No Project Marvel. We're told that they're having another watch party across town on the west side tonight, so we're going to go stop by that one as well. But both of these groups, when it comes to Proposition B, they just think that this deal was done in the back room, and they want more of the public to be involved in this conversation. They don't want public funds to be used to fund this downtown arena. So we're going to hear from those people later on tonight. But again, we're waiting for people to arrive here within the next hour. We'll have the latest coverage from Southtown. Reporting live, I'm Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Avery, thank you. Of course, we'll be hearing from Avery, Garrett, all of our crews covering this election during our election night live stream. That begins right after this newscast at 7 o'clock. Ernie and I are your hosts. We have a panel joining us. We have guests coming in throughout the night to weigh in on the results as they come in. Polls close at 7. As soon as we get the first round of numbers, you can find them right there on the election night live stream on KSAT Plus, as well as KSAT.com and YouTube. All right, let's take a look at traffic out there right now. This is the camera here, Loop 410 at Exchange Parkway. Both directions moving along just fine. A little slow going 281 at Loop 410, but no major backups out there to make you aware of.
All right, there are questions tonight after a gun was found on the grounds of a Northside ISD campus. The discovery was made at Harlan High School around 5:30 last night. Now, first, we want to let you know nobody was hurt, no shots were fired, and no threat was made against the school. The district says a student found the gun near a fence separating the district and private land, and we do not know if the gun was loaded or how it got there. Now, we also want to take the opportunity to remind you, if you see something suspicious, please say something.
Jury selection begins tomorrow for the trial of one of 3 people accused in the killings of a pregnant teenager and her boyfriend. It is a local crime that garnered national attention in late 2023. Mirta Romanos is accused of helping her son move the bodies of Matthew Guerra, Savannah Soto, and their unborn child. She faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Her husband, Ramon Preciado, is facing similar charges. Their son, Christopher, is charged with capital murder for killing the couple. Christopher Preciado is set to go to trial February 2nd.
We got another officer who was there the night 3 SAPD officers killed a local woman in 2023, testified in court today. First responders were first called to her apartment after she cut the fire alarm while experiencing a mental health crisis. Current SAPD officer Travis Thompson testified that Perez was resisting arrest and that the situation escalated when she grabbed a hammer. Thompson testified that the hammer was enough of a threat for officers to use a gun rather than a taser, and that he was fearful of serious bodily injury because of the hammer. If convicted, the men on trial face a maximum of life in prison.
A local center for treating mentally ill and addicted children and adults is back in the hot seat.
Laurel Ridge Treatment Center, which made news last year after the arrest of its former CEO, now has been under the microscope of state investigators who found a long list of violations.
Katrina Weber shows us what they say put patients in danger.
Treating people in times of trouble, mental health and addiction issues is what Laurel Ridge hangs its hat on. But the center near Loop 1604 and Redland Road has had problems of its own. We reported previously on the arrest of former CEO Jacob Cuellar in a child sex assault case. Now, a 50-page document from State Health and Human Services lays out a whole list of violations that it says put patients in immediate danger. Among them, the investigation this summer found Laurel Ridge was understaffed. that caused patients, often in crisis, to wait up to 6 hours to get checked in. Is that surprising to you?
No, it's not surprising. It's not, they're short-staffed.
This woman who wanted to remain anonymous has a relative on the inside.
I'm concerned about everybody there, not just my loved one.
The report contains plenty of reasons for concern. A patient cutting herself in August with razor blades she smuggled in, and easy access for others to dangerous items behind a nurse's station. Among the items on the list were phone charging cables like this, which investigators believe could be used for strangulation. A follow-up investigation in September, though, concluded that most issues had been corrected. In a written statement, Laurel Ridge also said it has taken corrective action and addressed all the concerns.
They changed the way the counters were so people can't jump over the counters.
Tracy Brown, just out of treatment herself, says she felt safety measures were in place. You have a string on your foot.
Yeah, so you can't have anything like this in there. They would take the string out. Your shoes can't have shoestrings.
She says Laurel Ridge helped her so much she decided to give back, bringing supplies to comfort other patients. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
There's much more to come on the news at 6. Today, the nation is mourning the loss of Dick Cheney. The former vice president passed away of complications from pneumonia. And coming up a little later on, the news at 6, a warning from health experts as respiratory virus season ramps up.
And a look outside with live cam as we head to break here. Adam Caskey will have your forecast after the break, including talking about when that fog is expected to roll in next.
Well, there are backlogs at the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Lab, and it is happening for a range of reasons.
So the crime lab analyzes DNA, firearms, and drugs. Our Courtney Friedman found out that all three have a backlog, cases that are unworked after 30 days. So she requested those numbers and headed to that lab to find out more.
So for 3 nights, Courtney will break down what is happening in each category and gets us answers about necessary solutions. So tonight we start with firearms.
When there's a crime involving weapons in our community, those pieces of evidence end up here at the Bexar County Crime Lab.
It is firearms, bullets, cartridge cases, weapons, but it could be tool marks. If someone were to take a pair of channel locks and pry off a doorknob to break into a place, the marks left behind on that doorknob can be identified to the tool.
It takes a very specific person to analyze all of that and testify in court during criminal trials.
Firearms analysts are hard to come by. They really are. There aren't a lot of them in the country.
Orrin Dim oversees the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Lab and says most of the backlog in firearms cases has to do with staffing.
We wanted the full picture, so we asked for 5 years of data on the firearms case backlog, and here it is. Here are the number of cases, and here are all of the months. What we wanted to know is why this graph starts gradually rising since June of 2022. I was told it started with a rise in cases and not enough analysts.
It's not a huge increase, but then it starts climbing. We get into the budget cycle. We request an additional position because we're seeing this increase. We were given the position.
They were not able to find an experienced analyst, so they hired someone entry level, which means 2 full years of training. While that training was happening, their most experienced analyst retired in July 2024. 334 backlogged cases shot up to about 540 now.
When his cases come up for court, we've been asked to reanalyze them. So far, we've reanalyzed 27 of his cases consisting of 308 items.
And so that spike is happening in like 2024, mid-2024, late 2024?
Well, and we see it again here, right, in June of 25. We have another spike.
But while staffing catches up, Dim has started seeing a recent trend, a rise in complex cases that involve multiple shooters. Like this shooting in South Bexar County, a 16-year-old was arrested after 3 people were caught on camera unloading over 60 rounds and driving off. Dim's team has to analyze all of that.
How many shooters are there? How many guns are we looking for? And you're looking at the cartridge cases going, how many types of weapons can we identify?
Dim says despite more complex cases, they're about to be fully staffed, and he believes they'll start clearing that backlog, something KSAT will be checking back in on. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
So tomorrow, we are taking a deep dive into the Bexar County Crime Lab's drug case backlog.
And Courtney finds out what's been happening there and what needs to change to decrease those numbers.
All right, let's turn to the weather now. Adam, we are talking about fog that is headed our way.
Yeah, and it's that time of year where we have longer nights now, and that just gives the fog more of an opportunity to develop, especially when we get an influx of a little moisture coming in from the Gulf. So here's a look at our futurecast for visibility. No problems tonight, and even after midnight, I think we'll be okay. It's mainly between about 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. We'll have some areas of fog developing, and it's probably going to be the thickest right around the morning commute, which is, around and shortly before sunrise there. 7, 8 a.m. visibility is down. Now, I know this model is saying 1/10 of a mile all across the board. It's going to vary significantly. It's not going to be that exactly specific, but I do think there will be times when visibility, Bexar County, all surrounding counties and some other areas, will be under a half mile at times. But by 9 a.m., it lifts, it clears out, and we have a lot of sunshine the rest of the day. And that's going to be the case every morning through Friday. So plan for your morning commute to potentially be delayed a little bit because of reduced visibility on the roadways Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Temperature-wise, look at the changes coming our way. So near 80 tomorrow, then we're well into the 80s, even 90 degrees in some spots by Friday and Saturday. And that's just a few degrees shy of record territory and 10 degrees above average for this time of year. Then the cold front hits on Sunday. Boom, resets us into the low 70s. And by next Monday, we're in the 60s for high temperatures. So we go from the 80s back down to the 60s, a real deal fall cold front. Notice there isn't any noticeably cold air out there right now across the lower 48. There is some bottled up in Canada, and there's going to be some movement of those air masses across the northern tier of the country over the next couple of days. But we're focusing on this next cold front that drops in on Friday from Canada and then makes it here by Sunday. The core of the cold air is going to be around the Great Lakes, but we're still obviously going to notice the changes with that front. And one very noticeable change is going to be wind. The wind gusts. Now, Saturday, just fine. Saturday night, you're not going to notice it that much. Let's start here Sunday about midnight. And this timing is going to change a little bit between now and then as we get closer to that event. Remember, we're trying to predict a cold front that hasn't even formed yet. But notice by Sunday, 8 a.m., we have some gusts around and slightly higher than 40 miles per hour. So the wind is going to be a factor on your Sunday, partially just in the sense that very dry vegetation, dry air, high wind gusts. That gives us that fire danger. So something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, we do have burn bans for most, if not most counties in south central Texas. Not all, but most. But if there were to be a wildfire, it would spread rapidly. So that begs the question, rain, any hope? Sorry, but there just isn't right now, unfortunately. Upper level high, Big Blue H, the dry high, blocking this disturbance, which would have given us hope for rain. That's going to stay in the Gulf. And notice it's going to drop all of its rain, Yucatan Peninsula, over toward Cuba and right in the central Gulf, but nothing around here. So today, temperature-wise, 50 in the morning, 79 in the afternoon. Big swings from the morning to the afternoon. Dressing in layers. You won't have to do so as much, though, the rest of this week. Right now, we're mostly in the 70s, but temperatures fall quickly. 63 at 10 o'clock, midnight, we're at 59. We start the day tomorrow at 54, 75 at noon, and then 80 the high temperature, right near 80, give or take a degree or two. And then we tick upwards every day, 83 Thursday, mid to upper 80s Friday, Saturday, only to have that cold front reset us again by Sunday. And coming up at 6:45, we'll be talking about the drought monitor and actually some of the improvements we saw in the recent one.
All right, nice. Thank you, Adam.
Very good. Okay, UTSA coming off an impressive win last week and another Thursday night game this week.
Yeah, so they beat Tulane. They were not favored to beat Tulane. They did, so UTSA is feeling much better about themselves, and now they want to use that momentum heading out to South Florida. Mary Rominger has more on that. And in Carter Word football, they turned to Space Jam, the old original movie, to help motivate them for their upset victory. We got more on that coming up. UTSA football team is back to 500 on the season after their primetime 22-point win against Tulane last Thursday. This week, the Roadrunners will need another near-perfect outing like they had last week if they want to upset South Florida on the road. Mary Rominger is at the race facility with more on UTSA.
Larry, there's just something about the Roadrunners this time of year when they're the underdog, wearing their all-black uniforms and inside of the Alamo Dome. Last year it was Memphis, this year Tulane. But now the question is, how can UTSA keep that rolling against a really tough South Florida team?
We was turned, man. I ain't gonna lie, we was so turned. Like, we had the black on. When we got out there, I'm like, man, like this just shows what we're capable of. Like, we could have been doing this. So it's like, it was fun. Like, it was super fun.
They're a really good team. I don't think they're really lacking in any areas. I mean, they're having the success they have for a reason. So we got to go out there and compete and match their intensity.
We're in a good spot. I mean, the opponent's just so unbelievably good. It's just it's an unfortunate matchup for us at a terrible time. We're going into another angry hornet's nest on the road like we did at North Texas. And I know everybody's like, we'll play harder, try harder, tackle better, all those great things. This team is the best one we've played.
South Florida enters this game as heavy favorites.
Wow, 14 points? Jiminy cricket.
And we'll see what UTSA can do on the primetime stage once again Thursday night. From the race, Mary Rominger, KSAT 12 Sports. Larry, back to you.
Thank you, Mary. On Friday night, before UIW hosted the at the time Southland Conference leading Lamar Cardinals, head coach Clint Killow dug deep into his bag to find a way to motivate his guys who had lost 4 straight conference games. Well, coach decided to show them Space Jam and had the entire team touch a metaphorical football to, quote, get their powers back, and it worked. They upset Lamar 24-17 behind an outstanding defensive performance and efficient offensive play. The players were all smiles, reflecting on how the original Space Jam helped them win.
It was just a good scene, a good time just to have fun, laugh, and then after we were just sitting down, just watching games and stuff, and we were just talking about like, dang, like we gotta get our superpowers back.
Pretty much all the team is seen, so they knew what it meant touching that ball, and apparently some magic was on that ball because we came out and balled out.
They just went in there with a confidence. It's that simple. You know, you get your powers back and then you just go do what you do, and that's what we did.
Next up, the Cards are at Northwestern State. They call themselves the Demons, and they've played Minnesota and Cincinnati this year, but own a 1-8 overall record. Number 3, Texas A&M will take their show on the road Saturday when they play at number 19, Missouri. The Aggies are 8-0 and 5-0 in the SEC. The Tigers are 6-2 overall and 2-2 in conference. And head coach Mike Elko says his team is still playing with a sense of urgency.
Yeah, I think we are desperate. I tell them all the time, we have earned everything that we've got, right? We've got a record, we've got a ranking, we've got opportunities that we have worked really, really hard to earn. And every single Saturday, someone's coming in and trying to take all of that from us. And that's the urgency that we have. In terms of Missouri, obviously they're a team that's still young. This is the challenge that you have in college football today is, they're still very much alive for the playoff. This is a playoff game for them.
The Aggies will play at Mizzou Saturday at 2:30 p.m. live here on KSAT 12.
We got to hear about the OG Space Jam
Yes.
in this sportscast, and Jiminy Cricket.
Absolutely love
Needs to be worked into conversation.
I know, right? You can always count on Coach Traylor for sure.
Oh, he's a gem.
Yeah.
That's why we love him. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate
All right,
it.
thanks, Larry. All right, coming up next, our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones here in studio.
All right, no ordinary Q&A on a Tuesday night here. It is election night, and we are pleased to have the mayor with us for a few minutes before she goes out and makes your election night stop. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. So you said it's a different night. So these are like all true, false questions, right?
Oh, yes. We're just going to plow
Ish.
through these.
Ish.
All right, so we do have a lot to talk about, but I want to first ask you about staffing in your office. We have covered that 5 staffers have left since your inauguration. What's going on there? Is there a staffing issue within your office?
No, and I'm not going to comment further on personnel issues.
Okay. What about the perception that there is some sort of instability because of that turnover we have seen just since June?
Well, I think what I would focus on is what I've delivered. And just over the last days, I raised $1.6 million to make sure that folks in our community who are facing food insecurity because our federal government is shut down, that we're putting food on tables. So $150 we're going to provide to these seniors and to these families that are food insecure. And I'm very proud of that. And I am focused on doing the business, right? Very proud of the team, how hard they've worked to make sure that we can do that. So I'm looking forward actually tomorrow morning to handing some of those cards out to the seniors. I'm very thankful again for the business leaders in our community that have stepped up and been very generous. $1.6 million in 72 hours, I think, speaks to how hard we are working, and frankly, the fact that we are focused on the most important thing, which is the most vulnerable in our community.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get to the SNAP benefits and what people can actually access because of the city's efforts. But before we move on from that, you mentioned you're proud of the work you have been doing. Any of the staffing vacancies or staffing issues, are they preventing you from accomplishing any of your goals?
No.
No, it's not a problem.
No.
All right. We'll see if they get filled. Okay, let's talk about those SNAP benefits.
So they're going out tomorrow, is that correct? I know last week you talked about gift cards and those kinds of things.
So the money is coming in. We are starting that. We are prioritizing the seniors, right? So, and again, it was really important. I'm very thankful to Metro Health and to Human Services at the city level, the city staff that have figured out kind of how best to do this, right, most efficiently. And of course, making sure that we're verifying. And that's why it was important to use the city infrastructure, because we could already verify kind of who's who. And so Project Hope with the project focused on our seniors, we'll focus there, and then utilize the WIC, so the Women, Infant, and Children facilities to make sure, again, the cards get out to who they need to. The federal government, again, we are on the precipice of the longest government shutdown in our country's history. Certainly, we are also watching, unfortunately, some of the public safety issues, but I think, you know, it's top of mind for me that this is falling on the most vulnerable in our community. So I know there's some discussion about, you know, partial SNAP benefits coming up, but we can't wait on that. Folks got to eat today, right? And so we're thankful for the generosity of the community again, and we'll get those cards out. Folks can still contribute. I'm very thankful. The Area Foundation, excuse me. There's a site, there's a page on their site. It's called Feeding San Antonio Fund. Folks can go in there, make any contribution that they'd like to, and all those resources go directly to supporting these families.
Is there anything that if somebody's out there watching saying, hey, I'm one of those people who should be receiving full SNAP benefits, can they still apply for help through the city, or what does that process look like?
Well, so we are focusing right now on those that are currently accessing their SNAP benefits through city resources.
Okay.
Right. So there is, folks can frankly call the city and see if they are part of that. I think by now they would know if they are, and they will be notified if they're going to be able to participate in this program. Let me just put this to scale, though, right? Every month in our community, $50 million worth of SNAP benefits comes and helps our neighbors. $50 million. And so 1.6 is a good start. We're going to help people. I mean, frankly, $150 worth of gift cards. We're going to help about 10,000 people based on what we know now. If we raise more, we'll help more. But $50 million is not coming into our, I mean, again, 48.5 not coming into our community as a result of the federal shutdown. This is just a bridge. We need the federal government up and running as soon as possible.
I mean, you have ties to Washington, obviously. Do you get any sense or have any sense that this might be winding down soon, or more help could be coming in another way?
I mean, I would certainly hope so. I mean, I think, I just, you know, in my mind, this is needless suffering. Needless suffering in our community. I also think about the public safety risks. I mean, the number of, and thankfully we're not seeing it at San Antonio Airport the way you're seeing it in other places, but the folks that are not showing up to work, right? You see that, what, 4 or 5 hour line at Houston? Thankfully, we're not seeing that, but I think the longer this goes on, the more risk there is to our community, and again, the more this hurts the most vulnerable in our community.
Yeah, you think about so many people who take a flight out of San Antonio. They have to go to places like Houston and Dallas to get where they're going. I want to ask you about election night. What are your plans for election night? What are you really watching tonight?
Well, look, I'm very excited, as we all are. I mean, the people will speak, right? And we'll hear their voices at the ballot box. And I think, as I've said, kind of either way this goes, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done moving forward. We'll negotiate on the project agreements, make sure that is the best deal for both sides. And, you know, if it's a different outcome, we will, again, there's lots of time to continue to make sure we've got a good deal all around. So it's an exciting night. I'm going to stop by a couple of events, and the people will speak and we'll listen.
Do you have any sense, like your ears on the ground, any sense on how it might play out tonight?
You know, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I've been spending a lot more time thinking about how can I raise more money for people that need help. I'll be honest with you. And this will figure itself out.
Okay.
All right. Well, we will watch
Thank you, Mayor.
see. All right. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Take care.
Very good. Okay, we appreciate that, and stay with us. We have more to get to here, and of course our live stream in the next half hour. We'll break down everything. I know the mayor will be watching, and we will be too, so don't go away. All right, we are back now. A high-ranking national member of the Bandidos gang is now in jail. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says Anselmo Barrera was booked into jail after a SWAT raid on Cantrell Drive on the south side uncovered 33 firearms, 2 body armor vests, and more than $200,000 in cash, believed to be tied to drug trafficking.
Every time that we do one of these, it's knowing that it does exist within our community, and every single time that we can get these things off the street, the better we are, the better off we are as a community. If it were up to me, we'd be making these sorts of arrests every single day.
Now, Barrera is being charged with possession of body armor by a convicted felon, which is a third-degree felony, with additional charges pending.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney passed away last night. His family confirming today that it was due to complications from pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. Now, as respiratory virus season ramps up, health experts are warning people to be on alert. Pneumonia often starts out like a cold or the flu, coughing, congestion, maybe a fever. But doctors say it's when those symptoms linger that they can become more severe. If you have a fever that isn't getting better, you have shortness of breath, or even start to feel confused, doctors say it's time to go see them. And right now, it is the time of year to begin to take notice of those symptoms.
We see an increase in these infections, particularly during respiratory virus season. And so during the months of October through sometime in April, May is when we see increased numbers of people with these lung infections.
So there is a pneumococcal vaccine that can help and is recommended for older adults, young children, and people with certain medical conditions to prevent pneumonia. Dr. Bowling also encourages the flu and COVID-19 shots that help prevent viral infections that can sometimes lead to pneumonia.
All right, let's get you outside with live cam. A little less than 20 minutes to go to vote at the polls. So the weather's not been an issue at all on this election day, but fog could be an issue very soon. Mr. Caskey.
Yeah, tomorrow morning we'll have some fog, and it's because the temperature is going to drop right down near that dew point temperature, and that saturates the air. So right now we're at 75, but cooling quickly. By 10 o'clock, 63. Midnight, we're in the upper 50s, and tomorrow morning we start the day at 54 here in town, pretty much all around Bexar County. Then a couple of degrees cooler up into the hill country. Morning temperatures will be impacted by the cold front coming Sunday. Before then, we're going to gradually warm up. Mornings close to 60 by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the bottom falls out, and we could even be in the upper 30s by early next week. We're going to talk more about the fog and especially the drought monitor, how it's changed recently, and the percentage of rain we've had compared to normal in just a bit.
Take a look at TransGuide out there right now. It's a slow-going move of traffic here. 281 Loop 410, the interchange there, headed westbound on Loop 410. It's always a slow merge there. But you know what this reminds me of?
Yes?
This time of year when it's dark, I always think about people going to North Star Mall to do holiday shopping.
Absolutely.
yeah.
The big
That's
boots.
always what I think of once the time change happens and we see that view.
It's the most wonderful time. I wasn't expecting to be on camera. I was just going to sing a little.
And there's kind of a
holiday tune for
weird
you.
dance for Christmas music.
Oh.
But
But you know
just
what? You went with it. And
feeling the flow.
yeah, I
Well,
like
that's
it.
a year.
Moving, feeling the flow.
Happy holidays,
Hey,
Caskey.
once you get past Halloween, bust out the decorations. That's where I see it.
I am with you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. I'm about to get my harness out so I can get high up into my tree and get way up there. And,
rappel and.
yep.
Okay.
Yep. Climb and rappel. It's so fun. All right. All right. Main headlines. Fog, morning commute, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So foggy mornings from now all the way through the end of the work week. We're warming up to a little more spring-like. Mid to upper 80s for highs by Friday and Saturday. Cold front arrives on Sunday. That's the transition day. Gusty winds and then cooler air replaces that spring-like air. So a bit of a contrast from that once that cold front arrives. So dew points right now, upper 40s, near 50. But the wind is going to be turning off the Gulf, and that's going to increase the humidity a bit overnight. And that's going to have a big impact on, of course, the driving conditions tomorrow morning with the fog. Now, the relative humidity is what's important here. The amount of moisture the air can hold at the current temperature. So it's relative. So for example, we get to tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in New Braunfels, the air is holding 100% of the moisture that it can at the given temperature. So the air is saturated, completely saturated. That's when the air temperature meets the dew point temperature, relative humidity 100%, and that can lead to fog, especially this time of year when we have longer nights. You know, we don't have as much daylight, the nights are longer, it just gives the fog more time to develop. And we'll likely have widespread fog, I think, tomorrow morning, potentially dense in a few spots for a few hours. But by 9 a.m. it lifts and visibility is significantly improved thereafter. So the little higher humidity through Friday morning and even into Saturday a little bit. But then by Sunday and Monday, look how the dew points, the moisture content of the air really falls off. I mean, we're talking desert dry air by Monday. Now, speaking of dry, obviously we're in a drought. We all know that. But we did have one improvement from the updated drought monitor last Thursday from the previous rain that we had. This is the previous drought monitor. And notice in 3, 2, 1, we actually did have some slight improvements because of the rainfall that we had leading up to last Thursday's drought monitor. But across the state, still looking at 1/3 of Texas considered in drought. Now, here in San Antonio, over the past 365 days, you may be surprised to hear that we've had about 87% of the average rainfall just since this time last year, and even higher numbers as you get up into the hill country. Unfortunately, no sign of rain right now or anytime soon. Upper level high still parked overhead. It's actually blocking a decent little disturbance in the Gulf. And you can see that causing some showers near Cuba and even offshore where the radars don't have the range out there. There's likely some shower activity. It's being blocked by that upper high. So unfortunately, all that rain staying out over the open water, raining on open water when we need it here. And up and down the central U.S. looking dry. 79, that was the high today. Right now, 60s already in the hill country. 68 Bandera, 69 Comfort, Bulverde 67. We're 75 here at the airport, but cooling off quickly. And then tomorrow morning, we start the day in the mid-50s with the fog. By the afternoon, nothing but sunshine, right near 80 degrees, give or take a degree or two. And then notice the morning's getting cooler again. Early next week, Monday morning, have the jacket ready at 41. We'll be back with more and talking elections in just a bit.
All right, welcome to the KSAT newsroom. This will be your headquarters for election night. This is where we are going to broadcast our live stream starting in just about 7 minutes at 7 o'clock when polls close. We will immediately begin to get you numbers as soon as they come in. We have a whole panel of experts, analysts, guests coming in here tonight to weigh in on all of those big propositions.
One of the first headlines, if you will, that's come out is really from our John Paul Barajos, who's at election headquarters and not too far from where we are, but essentially saying that Michelle Carew, the elections administrator, who was set to go in front of the microphones at about 7 o'clock, has delayed that because there are a lot of people still out voting.
Yeah, which is a good thing. And a reminder to anyone, if you are still in line at 7 o'clock, you can cast your ballot. So it's good to see a great turnout that we hope, we saw, what did he say earlier? More than 62,000 people voted today, which is amazing. So we're going to bring you all those election night results. Of course, props A and B, the big ones here locally, and the 17 other propositions to the state constitution, which definitely have an impact statewide.
And Kevin Wolf and DeMonte Alexander are here. They've memorized every one of them verbatim, so they'll resuscitate that for us here, or I should say recite that for us here in just a little bit. The mayor, by the way, who was with us a little while ago, is heading over, I believe, to the Spurs watch party, the Project Marvel-related Prop B party, if you will, and so we could be hearing from her and Spurs Chairman Peter J. Holt coming up at the top of the hour as well.
Mayor Jones said she was going to hit a couple of different watch parties tonight, so are our KSAT crews. So we will have reaction for those who are really hoping for a Prop A and B victory and those definitely rooting against it. This is your election night headquarters. Ernie and I have you covered, as well as all our crews, KSAT Plus, KSAT.com, and YouTube. We'll see you for that stream at 7, but don't go anywhere. We're not done here just yet.
Here is a quick look at what is on ABC Primetime tonight. At 7 o'clock, it is Dancing with the Stars. And then at 9, catch Step Into the Movies with Derek and Julianne Hough. And of course, you can join us for the Night Beat. All your election night results and returns and the recap, Stephanie and myself, coming up on the Night Beat at 10.
Adam.
Just a couple minutes away from polls closing, feeling more spring-like up until our cold front arrives Sunday morning. We'll see you on the live stream and on the Night Beat with our results.